once again to the Country HQ Spotlight on podcast, where we dive into the stories behind the music of today's hottest country artists. We've got one of them here today. I'm your host, Adam Simon, and today we have an incredible guest joining us. She's a rising star in the country music industry, 2 albums already under her belt, and a new single making waves. The incredibly talented Kora Naughton. Kora, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam. It's my pleasure.
Let's start with the new single, Back to Us. I mean, I've just had it on repeat. A bit of a drive home today and kept listening to it. Where did the inspiration for the song come for you, and what's the message that you're hoping that your listeners are going to take away?
Yeah, look, this song was so special to me from the moment I started writing. And I think that as a songwriter, every time you sit down to write a song, that you hope people will feel what you feel when you're writing the song. Me, this was just inspired by like the nostalgia of first love, and I just really want to listen to this song and be transported to their first love, and to know all of the wonderful happy times, and also to recognize how sad it was for it to end. Maybe it didn't end, hopefully happily in love 40 years later, but obviously that doesn't happen for everyone. So my hope is that they can look back on first love and see it in a positive light, even some not, but that was just one of those things.
It's country music, don't you? There's heartbreak. There's the happy endings come much, much later in life.
Yeah. And I mean,
you got to have that heartbreak.
You do, and this song is sort of a little about both of those things. It's about the young love, and it's about how wonderful it is, and it's about the heartbreak too.
Is that something as a songwriter you think that you have to be sad to write a sad song, and you have to be happy to write a happy song, or you love to write a love song? What do you think about that perspective?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, I was 14 years old and I wrote a song about murdering people. So I don't feel as a songwriter, I think some of the most real stuff comes from what you're feeling and when you're feeling something. But sometimes, you get an idea when you really feel something. You might be really upset and you'll have an idea, but you're just not in the headspace to write. So you'll sort of take that idea on later and rewrite that. And sometimes, particularly with like co-writing and things, people, you're looking at other people's ideas and you have to turn that into something. So I think that songwriting is a whole different art, and you sometimes write about what you feel, and you sometimes write about what other people feel. You sometimes write about your opinions, and sometimes it is just pulled out of thin air and it makes a good song.
It's such a really good song because it reminds me of that sort of 90s 50-year-old Martin McBride, even likely some of the stuff like the Becky or Gina were doing in the 90s. But what I want to say, it's got a real great traditional sound, some great traditional sort of country instrumentation. But then you also have like a really contemporary blend in some of your other music as well. How do you balance that, the traditional country sound, then bringing the modern influence? I mean, how do you strike that balance?
Yeah, it's really tricky. And I think the thing is, it's really tricky to know what people want from you. And so the thing that I have always done, and I've done since the very first day that I've released music, is just done what I love. And then when it comes to production, done what's right by the song.
Yeah.
Sometimes you write a song and it just has this melody that suits a very contemporary pop sound, and it would be an injustice to the song to release it with a very typical traditional acoustic sound, country sound, and it just wouldn't be right. And then sometimes you have a song like Back to Us that if you had have put this epic contemporary pop beat to it, it might have sounded less real. That it's a hard balance, but the thing that I've always done is tried to do right by the song. And I think when you write a good song, it sort of speaks to you and tells you what it needs.
Yeah. I think that's your insight in your development as an artist too, that what you're saying there, what the song needs. Many moons ago I was in Tamworth and I was watching a cover act there, and they were doing a Whiskey Lullaby, Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. But they did it like the pop beat, and it's like a song about murder, and it's like, you understand that this song is not, they didn't actually listen to lyrics, that is sort of contemporary hit. But I think that authenticity you're bringing to it, that interpretation, lends itself in so you can see a ballad like this, like Back to Us, and get that interpretation. Is that enhanced when you've got the ability to work with someone like Matt Fell?
Oh, so much. Seriously, so much. I think the really great thing is with Matt, when he also understands, and I mean, he understands what a song needs, but when you both walk into a studio and are on the same page, it's like, okay, we know that this song was written for this sound. There's been times where we've sort of had separate ideas and you could go either way and it could really work. And there's been times where we're just, Back to Us was one of those times it was just so on the same page, and every idea that he had, I was like, yes, 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 so good. So I think that working with other people can make your music 100 times better. It can also, I think, sometimes you have to stick to your guns with what you want, and sometimes you have to be open to change. Like, sometimes you write a song and you have something in your head because the song is special to you and it's what you envisioned for it. But I have walked into the studio with Matt and previous producers and they've said, I actually think the song is speaking to me in this way. And when you actually sit down and you listen to those ideas to people who have been in the industry far longer than I have and have been around music far longer than I have, sometimes their outside perspective is more in tune with the song than your own as well.
Yeah. What about, we're talking about the influence then, so from a production point of view, what were your musical influences growing up? Did you grow up around music? Was the family musical, or were you the black sheep who embraced music?
Definitely the black sheep. No one in my family had ever really done anything with music, played an instrument, sung, or anything like that. I was just, I don't know, I guess the thing for me, I always loved music. And my mum says, when you were in my belly, I was taking you to AC/DC concerts, and that's where it came from. I don't know. But I remember as a kid, I was completely unable to walk around the house or do anything without singing. And I'm still the same now. Like, it's just this thing I don't even notice is happening. I'm just always, 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 always singing. And I think, like, even if I had never learned to play guitar or I had never learned to songwrite, I never performed on a stage, I would still be doing the same thing. I don't know how, I don't know where it came from, but I've always just had this sort of big love for music in my heart, and it's always just really felt like a part of me.
I think that's right. People like yourself, myself, who love music, you have to do that. You have to pick up, back in the days before we had Spotify, you'd have to pick a CD to listen to the shower, or have a CD to listen to while you did your homework or your uni work. And looking back now, geez, that took up a lot of time, but we had that inability to function without it. You need that music in your lifestyle somewhere. I think that comes through as a musician too. You have those interpretations, and you bring, I think, several different genres. Are you just a country music fan, or do you embrace like all different genres yourself? I mean, let's say Mum took you to an AC/DC concert, before you were born. What about yourself growing up?
Well, I guess growing up for me, I didn't listen to a lot of country at all, to be honest. My dad was a big Slim Dusty fan, so he had probably half of his albums, which doesn't seem like a lot, but he had 100 albums. So, he was just always playing the Slim Dusty. And I sort of knew that was never going to be like my vibe as a singer, obviously, but I gained a respect for it, I would say. But growing up, I was definitely more influenced by my mom's love for that 80s rock sound, and also just loved like the pop stuff on the radio. I had never really listened to a lot of country. And I think I want to say about 6 or 8 years old, I bought my first country album, and it was Gretchen Wilson's Here for the Party. And I really just like played that to death. That CD was so scratched by the end of it. Yeah, and that's where I started listening to it for the first time, but didn't fall in love with country and start singing it until I was 14 at my first Tamworth Country Music Festival.
And then in 2018, you released Ride or Die, followed up in 2021 by 19. How has Kora Naughton evolved, not just as a songwriter, but also as a recording artist since those first two albums?
Yeah, look, I think when you listen to both the albums, there's a huge difference in, I mean, I was so young when I did it. When I was releasing Ride or Die, I released it at 16 years old. I recorded most of it at 14, 15, and I was still learning how to songwrite. I wrote 9 of the 10 tracks on that album by myself in my room at 14 years old, not really knowing what I was doing. And I sort of released that album with the intention of finding out where I fit in. I had everything from traditional country to the more pop sound to very like rock country, little bit of alt sort of style. And I didn't really know where I fit in the industry and what I really wanted to do. And I think a lot of that, I sort of let other people influence what I was releasing because I didn't know what I wanted. And so when I released 19 in 2021, it was like a whole different ball game. It was like, this is the songs that I love. This is what I want to release. This is what I want to do. So I feel like that really encapsulated like my love of music, my love of songwriting, and who I wanted to be. And then the songs that I've released since 19 have really just been the the, the pick of the bunch. Like I've written a lot of songs. I spent a lot of time writing some terrible songs and writing some great songs, and it meant after 19, because I haven't released an album since then, that I really just picked what I thought people would want to hear as singles and what I really, really loved. I think my music has grown a lot. I think I've personally grown a lot. And yeah, knowing that those albums got me to where I am, to a spot where I know what I want, and I know, hopefully know what people want to hear.
But I think, like, even like early on, I'm just looking here at the album here, like, where am I? Sorry, that's funny. Like on the first album, I'm coming back to tracks that I've sort of highlighted here, like So Small and X's and Opal Nose. You're showing a lot of insight as to not just the writer, but also the performing artist then. So I think we say you don't build a house by putting the roof on first. You have to lay a foundation. So these first two albums have been a great foundation. What's coming next? You're releasing these singles. Are you working towards album number 3?
Definitely releasing new singles. I'm very excited about. I think my favorite single to date is still to come this year. And yeah, I'm really excited about that one. The whole album front has been hard. I released 2 albums by the age of 19, and for me, it was a lot. Like when you're trying to grow up, you don't really have, like, I didn't have a job at the time. I was just doing music, and I don't know, like I put everything that I had into them. Obviously, most people who are musicians know that you don't get a lot back out. You know, you get a lot of love and you get a lot of people listening to it and radio playing it and people streaming it, but nothing is ever going to make you back that money unless you're a big artist. So it was a nothing that I would ever regret, but it was a big moment of taking back, being like, hey, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on this album. Imagine where I could be in life with this, you know? So I've been a bit more cautious about working towards a third album. That's definitely not to say that it's not in the future. It's definitely something that I would really like to do. And I'm definitely releasing those singles and working my way towards having enough to do that. But it's definitely a thing that I would be more cautious of next time.
Let's talk about you heading up to the groundwater in a very short time, up on the beautiful sunny Gold Coast there. So you're going to perform at the Groundwater Country Music Festival. That's running October 18th to 20th. How do you prepare for a festival like Groundwater, and what can we expect to see from your set?
I'm so excited for Groundwater. I think the Gold Coast is one of my favorite places in the world. I will say this time and time again. And I really love that I can combine a place that I love so much and the music that I love so much. So definitely some country covers that you guys will love. And lots of my own stuff. Some new stuff that I haven't played before, definitely. And definitely the stuff that I've been releasing the last couple of years. I love to see country music fans and show them what I'm made of. So that's definitely on the cards.
Do you have to get to a different mindset as a performing artist when you're performing at a festival versus, say, a smaller gig in a club or a hotel?
100%. I think the thing is, like, every weekend I'm playing pubs and clubs and things, and that's never stopped. Ever since I was 14 years old, I've been playing in pubs, and sometimes you'll realize you'll sit there and people will be, you know, hanging off every word, and other times the footy's on or there's a meat raffle and nobody's listening to a damn word you're saying. And it can be, if you let it be, it can be a little bit heart-wrenching. To me, that's work, and you put 100% in every time you sing, no matter what you're doing. But, you know, I guess when you're at a pub, it's like people want to hear Sweet Caroline and Take Me Home Country Roads and all those classic songs, and you can understand why.
Wagon Wheel.
100%. And you can understand why. But I think going into a festival like this, where it's like-minded country music fans and artists coming to see country music at the coast, it's a whole different vibe, and people just want you authentic and yourself. They don't want you to sing, you know, whatever cover so that they can sing along and get drunk, which I respect, get it. But it's a whole different crowd, which means it has to be a whole different set and it has to be a whole different mindset approaching it.
But I think those sort of festivals, like this massive stage, and the best part about Groundwater is it's free, so punters there, totally free, they're enjoying the whole thing. It's a great energy coming from the crowd, which you then can feed off. You know, and I think that's what makes the really memorable performances, where the artists and the crowd have sort of got that synergy between that energy, and they're just having a great time, both you on stage and they're feeding it back to you from the audience.
100%, could not agree more. I think that my favorite times performing, no matter where I've been playing, are the ones where the audience is involved with what you're doing. And it doesn't matter whether I'm playing in a pub or playing on a huge stage. You know, I did Star Maker at Tamworth Country Music Festival a couple of years ago. And I think that it doesn't matter what stature of the stage you are at. If people are interested and people are listening and people are vibing off your energy, it's a different gig completely.
Yeah, perfect. And what about at festivals like Groundwater? Do you get a chance then also, once your set's done, to pack everything away and go and be a fan for a few hours as well?
Yeah, I think the really exciting thing about this one is it's 3 days and I'm playing one gig over each day. I'm going to have heaps of time to go and discover new artists and go see some of my favorite people and meet country music fans from hopefully across the country. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I think it's one of my favorite parts about going to any festival ever is that you get to also be a fan.
Any recommendations for this year's festival? That who would you recommend punters definitely go and see besides Kora Naughton? Who else do you think people should definitely go and see?
At the top of the list. No, look, I think that there is merit in every single one of the artists that are playing there. I think that Casey Chambers is definitely one of the ones that I'm super excited. I think she's so wonderful. But get out and see some of the artists that you haven't heard of before. I think that it doesn't matter who you go see, you're going to be impressed. But go see someone that you've never heard of or you've never seen, someone that you don't know what to expect from, because I think that those are the gigs that you get the best. Sometimes you have really high expectations to see people, and then even when it's good, you know, it's like, yeah, I expected that to be good. That's awesome. But if you go see someone you've never seen before, you have no expectations, they will just blow you out of the water. And I think that's my advice. Definitely go see someone new.
A few of these young up and comers, like I know this young fella Adam Brand, I know heard of him before, or another young fella Shannon Knoll. These guys, they need our support on their way up. I'm sure they do. But fantastic. And it's a good balance too. It's a good balance between established artists, original artists, there's a couple of overseas acts this year. I think that really makes it engaging there for you as an artist too, because you can network, you can catch up with old friends and make new ones too. So it's really it's almost like a live social experiment, isn't it? So get everyone together in one place.
It's such a great mix, and I'm actually really excited to go see Shannon Knoll. I think that as a kid, he was like one of my idols, seriously. And it's funny because, you know, like probably a lot of people at my age at the time thought that he was the writer and the original singer of What About Me.
Yeah.
So What About Me has sort of been like my favorite song since I was like 4 years old. I remember singing it at my dad's 30th birthday party on a karaoke machine. I fell in love with performing that day on a karaoke machine, playing What About Me over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling really maybe betrayed when I found out that wasn't his song with myself. But yeah, I'm really excited to go. I had his albums on repeat half of my childhood, so very excited to see him too.
When you bump into Shannon, just tell him how betrayed you were and then just walk away leaving that hollow, shallow feeling. So, fantastic. Well, last question I want to talk to you before, but you've got 3 dates, 3 shows at the Groundwater Country Music Festival. So that would be on the 18th, 19th and 20th.
Yes.
Fantastic. So make sure you get all the details we're going to put in the show notes today, as well as links to the website. Last question. You always ask the same last question to everyone. What's it like to be Kora Naughton on stage? How do you connect?
That is a tough one. I think that being Kora Naughton on stage is very much the same for me as being Kora Naughton off stage. I think that authenticity is the thing that I would like to think that I have built myself around. I love getting up on stage and being able to tell the same jokes that I would tell to my parents, and probably not think that it's funny, but me just laugh at myself anyway. And I think that the one thing that I've always tried to be in my music and in my performance and in my songwriting is honest. So I hope that shines through when I perform. I really just try and get on stage and be the same version of myself that people at my workplace see, or that my friends see, or that my parents see. And yeah, obviously, you know, there's things that you're probably not going to go cry and have a mental breakdown like you might when you're having a bad day on stage. Sometimes you just really have to pull it together. But I definitely always try to put the best version of Kora Naughton on stage every time.
Well, guys, I've seen Kora before on stage. It's a fantastic performance. It's very engaging performance and draws you in from the very first song. to the last note of the last bit of the drums. So, Kora, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here today on the Country HQ Spotlight On special. Your journey's truly inspiring, amazing. Keep releasing that great music. We can't wait to see you shine along with all your other colleagues at the Groundwater Country Music Festival in just a few weeks. In the meantime, make sure you check out Kora's new single, Back to Us. It's available on all streaming platforms now. Like and subscribe to her socials. She does a great job there connecting with everyone. And whilst you're liking and subscribing, make sure you like and subscribe to Country HQ Spotlight On podcast and share it with your friends and family. Hell, even your mother needs to have a listen. But Kora Naughton, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you at Groundwater.
My pleasure. Thank you.